Welcome back. If you're new here, this channel exists to answer the questions you never think to ask about your own body, your own history, and the invisible forces shaping your life. This one might be the strangest question yet. You're sitting still right now. You feel nothing pulling on you. No sense of weight. No sense of force. But something is pulling on you. Constantly. It has been since the moment you were born. And if it vanished for even a few seconds, the world as you know it would come apart. Here's the strange part. You've never once felt gravity directly. You've only ever felt its effects. Think about that for a second. You feel your feet pressing into the floor. You feel a book's weight in your hand. You feel the strain in your legs walking up a hill. But that force itself, the thing causing all of it, is completely invisible. Completely silent. And completely non-negotiable. Until, in this thought experiment, it isn't. Imagine gravity simply switched off. Not weakened. Not reduced. Gone. What would actually happen, in order, second by second? The first thing you'd notice has nothing to do with floating. It's sound. Air doesn't need gravity to exist, but gravity is what keeps it pressed close to the ground, layered in a breathable blanket around the planet. Remove gravity, and that atmosphere begins drifting outward almost immediately. Within seconds, the air pressure around you starts dropping. Within about 15 seconds, most people would begin losing consciousness from lack of oxygen, the same way pilots do at extreme altitude. You wouldn't get the dramatic slow-motion floating scene you're picturing. You'd get a sudden, silent scramble for breath. But let's pause the physics for a moment, because the reason gravity behaves this way at all took humanity thousands of years to even ask correctly. In the late 1600s, a mathematician named Isaac Newton proposed something radical for his time. Gravity wasn't a mysterious force on. For over 200 years, that idea held. Then, in the early 1900s, a physicist named Albert Einstein reframed the entire concept. Gravity, he argued, wasn't really a force pulling objects together at all. It was the shape of space itself. Massive objects, like planets and stars, bend the fabric of space around them. Objects don't fall toward Earth because Earth is pulling them. They fall because the space around Earth is curved, and they're simply following the straightest path available through that curve. Which raises an unsettling question. If gravity is the shape of space itself, what would it even mean for it to disappear? It would mean space snapping back to being perfectly flat. Instantly. Everywhere. Which is why, in this thought experiment, the effects wouldn't ripple out slowly. They'd happen almost everywhere at once. The oceans would be next. Right now, gravity is the only thing holding that unimaginable mass of water against the seafloor. Without it, the entire ocean would begin lifting off the crust in enormous sheets, breaking into slow-moving spheres of water drifting into the sky, pulled apart by nothing but their own surface tension. The ground beneath your feet would behave strangely too. Gravity is part of what holds tectonic plates under compression. Remove it, and the immense pressure holding the Earth's crust together starts to release. Not an earthquake in the traditional sense. Something stranger. A kind of slow structural unraveling, as the planet itself stops being held tightly against its own core. And your body. Your body has never once, in its entire existence, operated without gravity's presence. This is where the story gets personal, because you don't have to imagine this part. It's already been tested, just far more gently, on real people. A researcher named Susan Bloomfield spent years studying astronauts living aboard the International Space Station, where gravity's pull is dramatically reduced. Her findings were striking. Astronauts in microgravity can lose up to 1 to 2% of bone density per month. Muscles that once worked constantly against gravity begin weakening almost immediately, because for the first time in their lives, they don't have to fight anything to move. Now imagine that effect, but instant and total. Your inner ear, the small fluid-filled structure your brain uses to sense up from down, would stop receiving any signal at all. Astronauts describe this as deeply disorienting even under partial gravity loss. Under full gravity loss, the sensation wouldn't just be confusing. It would be a kind of total spatial blindness, the brain suddenly starved of the one signal it has relied on since before you could walk. Even your blood would behave differently. On Earth, gravity constantly pulls blood downward, and your circulatory system has spent your entire life working against that pull. Remove gravity, and blood shifts upward toward your head and chest almost immediately, which is part of why astronauts in space often develop puffy faces and thinner legs within days of arriving in orbit. Your body, in other words, isn't just living on a planet with gravity. It's built by gravity. Every bone density level, every muscle fiber strength, every instinct your inner ear relies on, evolved over millions of years specifically because the downward pull was always there, applying constant, predictable pressure, generation after generation. Take it away, and you're not just floating. You're briefly existing as a creature your own biology never evolved to be. Here's the part that reframes everything, though. You don't actually need gravity to vanish for any of this to matter. Right now, in ordinary daily life, you are already relying on a force so constant, so unfailing, that you never think about it at all. It's shaped your skeleton. It's calibrated your inner ear. It's the invisible hand determining which direction is down every second, without asking your permission. You've spent your entire life inside an experiment you never noticed was running. Gravity has been the control variable the whole time. Not the exciting part of the story. The quiet, background constant that made every other part of your existence possible. So the next time you're sitting still, feeling nothing pulling on you at all, remember that the reason you feel nothing is not because nothing is happening. It's because something has been holding you, perfectly, reliably, your entire life, and never once asked to be noticed. If this changed the way you think about the ground beneath your feet, hit like and subscribe for more. And if you're curious what else your body has been quietly relying on without your permission, there's another video waiting for you right here. See you in the next one.